The Beverly D was run just prior to this year's million, race number 10. Let's take a look at the field. Another one. It's a grade 1 on turf. Chad Brown is going to be well represented. He had 4 of the 9 in this year's Beverly D, and with the exception of Thays, who we'll talk about here in a bit, the other 3 looked like legitimate threats. They all have brought serious credentials to the game. You have a horse like Sister Charlie and 4-Star Crook and Inflexibility, all a little bit different, but at the end of the day, they're all legitimate grade 1, grade 2 sort of types. They were going to take some beating in here, and I think the surprise of this, not so much the result, it was who ended up finishing third in this trifecta. As we take a look, guess what? Sister Charlie gets the job done over 4-Star Crook. That seemed like it was about one of the more straightforward possibilities for an exacta of the entire weekend. They run 1-2, and Thays, the pace setter in this spot for Chad, runs third at odds of 47-1. That's a Chad Brown trifecta. And guess what? That happens rather frequently now, it seems like. If you played that 50-cent trifecta, it comes back just under $100. 99 and some change. And that's pretty good considering 4-Star Crook running second and Sister Charlie winning. Nothing to sneeze at right there. Let's take a look at Sister Charlie a little bit more in depth. She is now 6 of 10 lifetime, 9 times in the exacta from 10 lifetime starts, over $1.4 million in career earnings, owned by Peter M. Brandt, trained by Chad Brown, bred by, here we go again, Écurie de Monceau in Ireland. It's just a guess. Sorry, guys. Ridden to victory by John Velasquez. You see the pedigree at the bottom of the horse card. She's by my boy Charlie out of a Galileo mare named Starlet's Sister. 102 buyer, 125 time form U.S. rating for Sister Charlie. 4-Star Crook gets a 101 buyer and a 124 time form U.S. rating. Both of those in the Beverly D. The next 3 finishers all earn 99 buyers and 120 time form U.S. ratings. The internal splits for time form U.S. The half, the 3/4, and the mile, all color-coded blue, meaning it was probably helping horses that were forwardly placed, a horse like Thays, and possibly hurting horses like Sister Charlie and 4-Star Crook. And when you look at the chart, that kind of bears out, but it just goes to show how good those top 2 really, really are, because your 3rd, 4th, and 5th place finishers, even 6th if you want to include Nialetti, they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you want to also include Athena, at the half mile, where then you had the 6th and 7th place finishers, 4-Star Crook and Sister Charlie. I think John Velasquez won the race going onto the backside when the pace wasn't materializing. Athena with Ryan Moore made that big brush up the backside. And guess what? Sister Charlie, she didn't go with her, but she was pretty darn close. And I think that may have been the difference because Arad Ortiz, he chose to just sit chilly. And I know he was in a little bit of a tough spot between horses with 4-Star Crook, but the fact that Sister Charlie at that point then got the better positioning going into it, I think that was really what the difference was in this spot because they both kicked home very, very well. Sister Charlie comes home in 40-77, 4-Star Crook 40-43, and to be honest, I thought 4-Star Crook was finishing better of the two when they hit the wire, but at the end of the day, how many more races are going to be at longer distances for these girls? If you had an extra 16th of a mile at a mile and a quarter, I still think Sister Charlie probably wins. I would imagine Sister Charlie goes on, and you're looking at the Flower Bowl, and I think 4-Star Crook probably fits in that same mold as well. At the end of the day, are they both going to go to a race like the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf? Why not? I mean, they seem like they're the 2 best older horses as far as fillies and mares on turf are concerned here in the States. And as far as the Europeans are concerned, I don't know. I mean, what we saw here, not that impressive. I liked Athena coming into this. I didn't think she ran well at all. I just kind of feel like this is Chad's world right now, and I'm sure there are going to be some legitimate Euros that want to come over here and try things out, but to me, Sister Charlie and 4-Star Crook, you have to look at them as the top 2 in whatever race they decide to show up in. As far as Thays is concerned, I think she outran her odds, certainly at odds of 47-1. I don't think this is what she is. I think she is a notch or 2 below. I'd like to see her back in a listed stake. She'd be a favorite in there, and I don't think she would be absolutely bulletproof in a spot like that. I might look at it and say, you know what, I'll take a shot against her. I think she ran tremendous in a spot like this. But at the end of the day, I don't really think this is what she is. Daddy's Little Darling, I suppose if you wanted to make some sort of a case that maybe she didn't have the cleanest of goes, but at the same time, I don't know if I totally buy that. Brian Hernandez, I thought, had her in a good spot. She was down on the rail, and I suppose he had to idle briefly down the lane, but it's not like it really, I don't think it cost her even third, to be honest with you. She was a neck behind Thays. I don't think she would have gotten there even if she had clean run for the entirety of it. I thought it was a pretty good trip, all things considered, and for one reason or another, she just couldn't get over the hump. Inflexibility, truth be told, she's probably a grade 2 or grade 3 type, not really of this caliber and this level. She ran really well, and I would like to see I'm having a hard time. I've had a long weekend. had first birthday parties, had weddings to go to, trying to get it all back in here, getting the cobwebs out. In flexibility, I think she's probably more grade 2, grade 3, and I would like to see her back probably up at Woodbine because it seems like that's where she does her best running. I also do wonder about distance. Maybe a 1.1 miles, slightly better for her. I know she ran well in that 1.25 miles race at Woodbine, and then she ran well here in this spot, but I think she might be better at slightly shorter distances. Brought it up. Athena was terrible in this spot for Ryan Moore and Aiden O'Brien. I'm not sure what you want to do with her because I thought she was great in that Belmont Oaks, and she just never really looked like a serious threat at any point rounding the far turn. Donna Bruja, this was disappointing, but I had voiced my concerns last weekend in the preview talking about how, boy, you've been out for a long, long time. And your best race makes you interesting, and perhaps you just hated Keeneland, and now you get back to Arlington where you've run so well in the past. She was very rank early on. She wants to be, it feels like at this point in her career, she's 6 years old, she had started to develop that gear where she wants to be forward. She doesn't want to come from that far out of it, and I think that kind of hurt her in here because she broke a little bit slowly. She's in behind horses down the front stretch, throwing her head about rank. She probably lost a race right there, but then the fact that she just came up as empty as she did when they asked her for some run, disappointing effort. I don't know that you want to just totally write her off and throw her out wherever she should show up next, but no question about it. The Connections had to hope for better outcome than what they got here on Saturday afternoon. Chad Brown could not have asked for much more, perhaps other than having the entire superfecta as opposed to the trifecta. He gets the job done with Sister Charlie. 4-star Crook runs well. Thays runs well. Inflexibility runs well. Sister Charlie, 102 buyer, 125 time form U.S. rating. You've got 4-star Crook with a 101 buyer and a 124 time form U.S. rating. They are part of the Chad Exacta in this year's Beverly D.